Oh wait, so show me why you're strong. Ignore everybody else. We're alone now. Oh wait, so show me why you're strong. Ignore everybody else. We're alone now. Suddenly I'm hit. It's this darkness of the dawn, and your friends are gone, and your friends won't come. So show me where you fit. So show me where you fit. Oh wait, so show me why you're strong. Ignore everybody else. We're alone now. Oh wait, oh wait, suddenly I'm hit. It's this darkness of the dawn.
Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk about more Leftovers Season 1. We're doing a catch-up on everything that I've been kind of putting off because of my little funk I've been in. Got my Leftovers Blu-ray in the mail, so I don't have to worry about no subscription to HBO anymore to watch stuff on, for at least this show. When I get to Season 2, we'll have to cross that bridge. But this is Penguin 1, Us 0, so full spoilers if you have not seen this episode. Yeah, and... we are back with the Love Fest, the happy show that is The Leftovers, which I'm kidding. It's it's very, very emotional. This show is very emotional. And despite, again, what people think about Damon Lindelof, this show, with the help of the writer of the book, was one of the best dramas on TV the 3 years it was on. I wished it could have gone on longer, but like I've said in the past, the finale of The Leftovers was one of the best finales I've ever seen, in my opinion. And I've even got like everybody broken down here, so I'm going to try to just tell everybody's story in like one cohesive way, talking about each one. So let's start with Tom. Okay, so I didn't know what they called Wayne, but it's Holy Wayne, which is always funny. Holy Wayne! You find out from the ATF, who's basically sitting there discussing Wayne's fate, that he lost his kid, and ever since then he's been telling everybody that, you know, he can hug your pain away, and he's getting senators and other people to see things his way. But he has to charge his batteries with teenage girls. It's a great line, because the whole thing is, it's just another, to me, it's just another cult. Whether or not he can do what he says he can do, I mean, I feel like Wayne's a really smart guy. And since if you've watched any of my other content about kind of this subject matter, a cult is a cult is a cult. And to me, Wayne is just another snake oil salesman trying to, you know, use his tragedy to feed his delusion that he's doing something special and that it's attracting a certain element. And you know, it is weird. I'm not gonna deny that the Wayne character doesn't have this air of possible supernatural, you know, stuff. But I mean, when millions of people just suddenly disappear with no explanation, a lot of people are gonna finally just go, well, fuck it, I guess a whole bunch of shit's possible. And I think that people like Wayne, and he's so creepy, he's the actor who plays him, I don't know if I have his name here, in the Wayne's not in here, but the actor who plays Wayne is doing a fantastic job, because he's creepy as fuck. But the ATF decides that the party's over for Wayne, and they just go in guns blazing. I mean, the guy's eating an apple. He's just like, yeah, okay, let's go get him. And you think, all right, whatever. But this isn't like Waco, man, where everybody, the whole thing turns into like a bullet festival on both sides. No, they just go in and take out every dude there. I don't believe they shot any of the girls. Maybe they did. But they just go in and fucking kill everyone. Tom, though, kills one of them that was going to kill the girl that Wayne wanted him to protect. This scene was very much like The Last of Us. This came out before that. I don't know if they, it's that if you haven't played The Last of Us, the beginning scene, Joel gets his kid out of this infected zone, and a lone soldier stops them and keeps them from escaping. He's just like, I want to go, I want to get out of here. And it's basically the same situation. And in the game, Joel's brother comes up and shoots the soldier, but not until he shoots his daughter. In this, though, Tom gets the drop on the guy before he kills anybody. And it's just, I don't know. It just made me really think of The Last of Us when I was watching it. And I guess Wayne got a heads up from like the congressman that was there in the last episode, because he just took off. He is not there. So Tom takes off with this girl, and he gets to this like kind of meeting place where there, I guess, a rendezvous if things ever went south. And there we see Peter Berg is dead. So I guess no Battleship 2, thank God. That's Peter Berg's cameo. Yeah, he's dead. And we find out that Wayne was smuggled out by one of his inside people. And again, it's just, Wayne is just creepy. He's not wearing a shirt. It's like, what is this, Twilight? Like, is he a werewolf? But, the girl just jumps in his arms, and he's just got that look, man. He gives Tom those eyes, those fucking crazy eyes that just go, okay, why am I following this guy? I don't know. But Wayne makes sure that Peter Berg is dead, really, so that we really don't get Battleship 2. There wouldn't be a Battleship 2, I know, because it was, but I'm just joking around it. Peter's expensive. Peter, you are a good director. I don't mean to give you a hard time. I just hated Battleship. It was unnecessary. Some people be like, well, you're unnecessary, motherfucker. I do like, though, what Wayne says to Tom, which, again, leads me to believe that he's just really good at reading people, very sociological. He was probably like a sociology major in college or something, because he's like, you're all suffering, no salvation. Like, just like Kevin and the rest of the Garveys, kind of, and a lot of people, I guess, in general, that like father, like son, he's holding in all this pain. He doesn't want to give it to anyone. He wants to hold on to it for some reason. He just can't let go. And that, kind of like boggles Wayne's mind, that he can't wrap his head around Tom. And it's like, yeah, because Tom's not a fucking sheep like the rest of the people that you talk to. But Wayne gives him a stash of cash out of his major stash of cash, breaks his phone and tells him, you got to take the girl. She's special. She's not a special boy. And that's an inside joke. If you're not watching my Perpetual Grace videos, you wouldn't know. But he gives him a phone, and then he just leaves and bails and is like, sorry, man, bye. And then he puts on a shirt. So it's like, okay, I guess maybe in the run from the ATF, he didn't have time to put on a shirt. But Tom goes to leave with the girl, and she's all, it's going to be all right. And it's like, fuck you. And then the car won't start. So Tom's reaction to that is pretty reasonable, just screaming and, fuck! So, I mean, but hey, we chose to follow this crazy asshole. So that's basically Tom's storyline in this. And we might as well get to, let's talk about Jill. So Jill and Amy are out doing, teenager shit, going to a coffee shop and all that stuff. They see Matt on the street who's passing out, this man is not who he says he is, that the people that were taken are all, they're not what we were making them out to be. Amy says this guy needs to find the internet. It's typical millennial stuff. But they go in there and they see Nora Durst, played by Carrie Coon. I'll promise I won't do that every time. But Jill sees into her bag, as one does, right? And People just looking into each other's purses. But I mean, she's famous in a way. She's famous for losing her entire family. And Jill looks into her purse and sees she's got a big ass gun. And I guess even after millions of people die, I'd probably be packing too. But Jill finds this very disconcerting, and they get it into their heads to follow her. But not before they see Nora take advantage of her status. She purposely knocks her coffee mug off the table, and it shatters, and the guy's about to be mad because I think he probably saw what she did, and then he sees who it is, and he's suddenly like, oh, I'm so sorry, oh my God. So in some weird way, Nora is taking advantage of her status as a victim, and just kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, I gotta go, and blah, blah, blah. Well, Jill and Amy saw this, and they decide to follow her. They get the Carver twins, which is funny that their names are in this frickin' thing. But only one of the Carvers, Charlie's in here, but the other Carver isn't. That's kind of messed up. If I was the other Carver brother, I'd be like, hey man, why is my brother get billing in the slip and not me? And why isn't Scott Glenn in here? But anyway, they follow her to where she's going to do one of her meetings, where she has to meet up and give people their departure money. So after Nora lost her family, she got a job at the departure services that go around and helping people recover from the loss of a loved one, and they all get a bunch of money. Which, shit, man, I know some people. Never mind. But they follow her there, and this is where we get to see Nora's questionnaire in effect, which is this very unsubtle questions that they have to ask in order to get their money. You don't have to answer every question, you just have to put up with listening to some very, very awkward questions. And in this case, this elderly couple's son that disappeared, he had Down syndrome. And so when you're asking about how many sexual partners they had and how many languages they speak and all this stuff, it's very uncomfortable for those poor people. But she just kind of tries to tell him, like, look, man, you just have to, like, push through this because otherwise I can't give you the money. And in the meantime, Amy breaks into Nora's car because Amy's Amy. And Jill, honks the horn, gets Nora running out of the house. And it's all fun and games until Jill sees Nora's face. And suddenly that look, they connect with their eyes, and that look on Nora's face, suddenly this isn't all funny anymore to Jill. And she's realizing, that she's being kind of shitty and that they don't know her story. She lost everybody. I think you'd be a little fucked up too. But they're all bored, and they're basically, these kids are kind of like the dogs. They're not the same anymore. Like, nobody's the same. Even the animals. And they when they get home, Jill's telling Amy, like, she lost her whole family. She could have just ran off and said, fuck off, fuck it. Taken her money that she got from losing everyone, because she's sitting on a chunk of change, but that comes up in another episode. And that, instead she stays and tries to help other people. And that's at least Jill being able to see a different side of it instead of just that whole, yeah, she's a lady with a gun. And it's like, if your whole family disappeared, you might be packing too. And that's pretty much it for Jill's story. So now we get to Kevin. Kevin, I love, Justin Theroux is so great in this. There's not a lot of people that can play anguished, tortured like Justin Theroux does in this show. He wakes up with Amy in his bed. And so, even though, like, let's just get this out of the way, it's a dream sequence, okay? So I guess subconsciously, the attraction goes both ways, because Amy's got the hots for him, but in his subconscious, there's Amy sitting in his bed, like, pretty seductively, trying to tell her, hey man, we shouldn't be doing this, that kind of thing. But she's actually got to take him somewhere. She takes him out into the woods where the mystery man with the sniper rifle is hunting down the guilty remnant. And it's That's when he wakes up and finds out that the neighbors have set their fence on fire, burning the clothes. Oops, this thing is starting to turn off. One sec, everybody. Oh, jeez. Everything, okay. So he's setting fire to all of his brother-in-law's clothes, or maybe it's his brother's. You can just tell that everybody is just at their breaking point, even after the guilty remnant came and crashed their, festival and everything. And we also know that after the dog killings, Kevin now has to talk to a therapist, explaining why he was doing it. And he's trying to explain to people that these aren't our dogs. I didn't shoot the deer. There was a guy with me. Nobody's believing him because there is mental illness in his family, namely his father, who used to be the chief and now he is. So people are putting his sanity into question right now because you're killing dogs. You're out there just shooting dogs. And I'm going to kind of mix in Meg's story because it does connect with Kevin's. But she is like in a halfway house for the guilty remnant. It's like the house before you get to become a member of their group, where you can still talk and kind of live a life, but it's just to prepare you for it. It's almost like the reverse prison, where you're in the prison, then you go to the halfway house to rejoin society. This is like the opposite of how you unjoin society. And Lori, she's there and she takes Meg out to the woods with an axe to cut down a tree, which Meg finds really stupid. It's really fucking stupid and pointless, and it's kind of like, yeah, that's a little bit the point. But it's also like to, get things out. Like there have been so many times, and I joke about it, and there's that line in Moonrise Kingdom where Bill Murray goes out to chop down a tree. And I've been saying that, I don't know how long ago I started saying, like, I just need to go home and cut down a tree. Like some sort of therapy. But Meg, tries to talk to Lori. She's like, look, this is a cult. And Lori's like, not a cult. And it's like, yeah, but that's what cultists say, okay? That's what people in a cult say when they, and trust me, okay? I know from cults. And this is a cult. And Meg's right, okay? This is not how religions, they're trying to call themselves a movement and things like that, but it is just textbook cult behavior. You can, and in the comments section, if anybody wants to rip me to shreds on that, go right ahead. I will not budge on this because I was in a cult, and I was born into it. I didn't have a choice until I turned of age to leave, and I bailed, okay? So I know what I'm talking about. Sorry, that's just kind of a point of contention with me. Nobody's really called me out on it. I'm pre-preparing because religion and cults, it's always, politics and religion, things you don't really want to talk about. But Kevin is trying to find the sniper dog, the guy who has the sniper rifle's dog's truck, so that people will finally believe him, that this isn't just him running out in the night shooting dogs by himself. Now, either way, it doesn't look good, okay? Shooting dogs doesn't look good. Even if you yourself believe, and we can see, the audience, that those dogs are feral. They've gone nuts. But he goes to Patty's at the Guilty Remnant to serve a search warrant. Patty, played by the great Ann Dowd from The Handmaid's Tale, and just without even having to talk, Ann Dowd just brings it with just facial expressions, way she moves, how she does things. But she does let them in, and it's basically them informing the people that are in this house that people are looking for them, or that we know where you are now and we're taking you off the missing persons list. In the case of Meg, on the other hand, they have to tell her, like, they have to take a picture, proof of life, so that they can talk to her fiance, all that stuff, just so that they can cross the name off the list, so that, because it's insane. And even if the Guilty Remnant don't understand that, people, that's how society works. And it's funny that, like, when he leaves and Patty's writing stuff down for Lori, and she's just like, Like, even when she's just writing things down, she's like an intense person. Um, and I wrote down when the captain sees like all the work that he's done on the guilty remnant, she's like, I never should have told you to watch The fucking Wire. I used to tell people that all the time. I stopped a few years ago because I'm like, if you haven't seen it by now, fuck it, you know? But yeah, he's got this very Wire-like conspiracy, like main house, side house, everything. This is who's there, this is who's there, this is who's there. And because of him going over to Lori's drunk and punching people out, she wants him to stay away from the guilty remnant and not cause any more trouble, which I guess is understandable, but you also have to see things from Kevin's side, that his wife is there, and whether or not she believes that they're married anymore, by law they are. And this is where it gives Kevin the ability to just keep holding on, even though he should know inside his heart of hearts that it's over. But he just doesn't want to give up. He doesn't want to lose, you know, he hasn't lost hope that his family can be one again someday. So she's just basically, don't shoot dogs, stop messing with the guilty remnant, I'm going to go see your dad, and then we get the missing bagel. So during this whole scene where she's talking to him, he's preparing a bagel and they have this conversation. Meanwhile, the bagel never comes out of the machine. And he just starts bashing it, and the bagel won't come out. And it's like just another thing that just disappears without a trace. And it's kind of like, in a way, the final straw for Kevin. Like, even my food is disappearing. He informs Meg's fiance, though, about her whereabouts. And he's just basically like, this is how she's going to treat me. Like, we postponed this wedding for 3 years. I've done everything for this girl, and now she just up and leaves me for the guilty remnant. And I would be angry too, but he doesn't see that whatever reason she was, if you're postponing your wedding for 3 years, it's like, if you want to see it on the funnier side, I guess, you could talk about from The Office with Roy and Pam. Like, how long were they in a holding pattern on their wedding? Something else is wrong there besides the guilty remnant. And when Kevin gets home, he finds out that the truck that he's looking for is in his driveway. Now, again, this makes you go, okay, was the truck always there or what? Because there's nobody there. But the guy finally shows up, like, oh, hey, yeah, I left the car here. You were looking for it, so here it is. And so that's just fucking weird. But throughout this whole thing, Kevin's got this look on his face like, I don't know if you're real. And he won't tell him his name because it's not an official capacity, which he should have just said, yes, it is. But the girls come home and they take the beer from this mystery man's hand, so at least Kevin knows this person actually is standing there. Except even then, it takes till when Jill says, who is that? That he's still got that look of like, what's she going to say? What is she going to say? Was I talking to myself just then? But no, she says, who is that? And he kind of gets this like, oh, fuck, like wave of relief wash over him. That, you know, he's not crazy yet, but he's getting there. And the guy's like, you know, like, why do you want me to help you kill dogs? And I'm lonely. But there's lots of crazy to go around here. So finally, Kevin goes to see his dad, which is played by the great Scott Glenn, and that's who that is. Sorry, learning perspective. And if you don't know who Scott Glenn is, he's been in a lot of really, really good stuff. But here is one of my favorite moments of Scott.
Hey, here's a joke, boy. Man walks out of his house on his way to work, sees this snail lying on his porch. So he picks it up, chucks it over the roof into the backyard. Snail bounces off a rock, busts its shell up, all this shit, lands in the grass. Snail lies there, dying. But snail doesn't die. And after a while, it can crawl again. And one day, snail up and heads back to the front of the house. And finally, after about a year, the little guy crawls back on the porch. Right then, the man walks out of his house on his way to work. He sees this snail again. So he looks at it and he says, "The fuck's your problem?"
I love him in that movie. I like him in a lot of movies. Backdraft, Silence of the Lambs, The Hunt for Red October. He's really great, and his arc in this show is really, really fantastic. They also mention, well, first the captain and him are hooking up, so you've got like definitely, what is that, one of those December, spring, summer, I don't know how they call that, but she's definitely, he's rocking the cradle there, but good on him. So even in the crazy house, Scott Glenn's getting some action. So they give us the Perfect Strangers story, that you find out that the whole cast of Perfect Strangers went poof on that day, and that is going to be one of our amazing callbacks later on in the series that we just don't know about. But he's like, yeah, they all, look it up, they all went poof. But really, Kevin's there to find out, like, when did you start going crazy? And he's like, well, in my opinion, I'm not going crazy. I'm fine. You just got to tell people what they want to hear. So if you're feeling something really weird, maybe just keep it to yourself, because I'm not crazy. But then that's when the crazy comes out, and he starts talking to somebody who's not there, saying that somebody's coming to help you. And Kevin's like, who and why? And you could assume that it's the guy who wants to help him shoot dogs. But again, since there's no actual name given, you don't know if he's just talking crazy. I mean, he's being crazy, but you don't know if his crazy comes from something that's actually happening. But we get the call back to the missing bagel, where he just can't take it any longer, and he has to take apart the machine and finally find the bagel caught and completely burned. Now, that is one stuck goddamn bagel, because in that earlier scene, man, he was like doing the gorilla luggage test against that thing practically, and it didn't come out. So, but he at least the bagel came out, and he can kind of be like, okay, like something, like he couldn't take one more thing. You could see like that tear kind of stuck on his cheek in the end of this. Meanwhile, for the end of this episode, more of Meg, where throughout this, Patty's telling Lori, you're being too easy on her. She's going to bail if we don't do something about this, because apparently she's really important, just like Wayne's girl is really important. And she does leave, or at least they think that she leaves. But before this, Lori, in a last-ditch effort to try to explain why she's there, and that how Meg needs to surrender so that she can become one of the guilty remnant. And she like, Meg's basically like, why should I? What have you given up? And she reveals that Kevin is her husband, and that's what she's given up. She's given up her whole family. And so even though they think she's gone, Meg is really just left to go down and finish chopping down the tree that she started earlier, and she looks like it's helping her a little bit, but it's still not. People deal with things in different ways, and so I don't want to just come right out and judge this character's actions, because I mean, she's not. The guilty remnant aren't really breaking any, not breaking any laws, and they are getting having paint cans thrown at them and stuff, or whatever that was that one lady had thrown at her. It's really weird. Now, there's a lot of special features on the Blu-ray that I have not ever watched, and I will be bringing them up probably in the finale of season 1. But otherwise, that's it for this episode. I want to thank everybody that has chosen to watch this. If you liked it, please hit that like button. If you are not a subscriber, please become a subscriber. We are close to 1,000, and even though I'm telling myself don't care about numbers, it's still nice to see growth. And the best way to show growth and that people appreciate the channel is by liking, subscribing, hitting the bell for all notifications, all that jazz. If you want to talk to me, I'm on Twitter at YESSHH8. That is Yesh8. Otherwise, yeah, we will see you on the next one, probably in a few days. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Gun Review saying thanks a lot again for checking out this video, and we will see you next time. Bye.